that's what makes me excited about doing things that are scary, is because it's like, wait a minute, it's scary and it seems impossible, but what if it isn't? What if I can?
That is the thing that you're pulling people towards, which is this expansion of heart and mind to understand that you are capable of growing, of doing things that sounds crazy in your head. What's up, you guys, and welcome to another episode of Adulting with Joyce Pring. I feel like this episode should have been coming a long way over because we had this amazing girl on the podcast a few years ago. We had a great conversation, but because that was the height of the pandemic, that was the height of my new motherhood, I had just given birth to a baby at that time. Hindi pa kami nagfa-face-to-face na recording of the podcast, but she's finally back, and today we're going to be talking about a new love of mine and a love of hers that she's had for a really long time. But before we get into that, if you're watching on Spotify, go ahead and follow the show and drop a rating. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and don't forget to tap the notification bell so you never miss an episode. And if you're on Facebook, make sure to follow my page, Joyce Spring, for updates and extra content. All right, let's get into it. Please welcome on the show, Hannah Pangilinan.
Hello! Which camera? There's so many. Hi guys. Thanks for having me, ate.
Yes, thanks for being here. I can't believe that this is only the second time that we've done this podcast together.
Right? I feel like every conversation of ours feels like a podcast.
I
That's
know.
why.
Maybe that's why we haven't been doing the podcast, because it feels like that in real life. But today I wanted to talk about running. And your love for running, just one in your
And
entire
your love
journey.
for running.
Our love for running. So tell me more about, how did that start for you? Because I know you've always been an athlete, right?
Yes. I've always been an athlete, but not an avid runner. So I started running when I was 9, 10,
Mhm.
in the context of triathlon.
Ah, okay.
So it was like kind of the means to an end. It's not because I wanted to run, it's just because it's part of the 3 sports that you have to do to complete. So that's when I had to run.
Okay.
And then during the pandemic, I gained weight. And I was not motivated to move.
Oh, really?
Yeah, super not motivated. And then I thought about running as the easiest way to lose weight and get fit again.
Mm.
And then my friend and I agreed to become accountability partners
Okay.
because we were in the village, stuck in the village, right? Because we couldn't leave our villages. And we just ended up getting together, working out. And she said, we should aim for something. We're already seeing each other almost every other day.
Yeah.
What should we do? And I was like, let's think about it. She comes back to me and she says, let's sign up for a virtual marathon. I was like,
That's kind of intense.
what? Like literally from 0 to 100.
You always have that one friend, no?
I
That
know.
0 to 100
Yeah.
friend. It's either she doesn't show up, or she shows up 200%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So she was just like, we should do like a virtual marathon. And at the time, that was the Boston Virtual Marathon. So we just needed to sign up, run at a specific date and time,
Okay.
and they would send us our shirts, our finisher shirts, and our medal.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
So that was your
so-
first marathon experience?
Exactly, in the Valley, Philippines.
What? Wait, okay, but this is not one of those virtual runs na parang you can do over a few days, right?
No.
It's
Dire-diretso
really like
dapat.
dire-diretso. Okay.
Yeah. And parang they tell you, on this specific date, from this time to this time, you have to complete 42 kilometers.
Oh, that's amazing.
So that's what we decided to do. And that's what got me into running, because somebody encouraged me to go on a run and to make one goal. And eventually I was like, wait, this is kind of fun, actually. Because it was something that got my mind out of the pandemic stress. And it was also a moment to pray,
Yeah.
to reflect, to check in on myself. I feel like when I'm running, I'm sure you feel this also, you just have such a unawareness of your state of being.
Yeah.
You know, like how your body feels, if your mind is noisy, if you need some more rest. It's just so clear when you're running. So it was my way of tuning into myself and getting fit in the process.
Yeah, that's amazing. But before, when you were doing triathlon, running wasn't your favorite sport out of the 3?
I hated it.
Which one
so
was
much.
it?
None of them. I don't even know why I did triathlon, honestly. Like, my whole family did it. So it was kind of like just part of being in the Pangilinan family was doing triathlons. So I was just like, okay, fine.
That's such a niche
And
part
I
of it.
never won. Okay, like I would finish always fourth place, fifth place. Like that was my sweet spot. That was me like trying my hardest na talaga. And my siblings would always get first place, especially the boys. And then we'd all wake up early. But it was like I never complained because it was just part of the schedule. Like it wasn't something that I thought was optional. So we just did it.
No, but that's actually brilliant because
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people think, I come across a lot of people and they're like, grabe, sobrang motivated mo. Imagine mo, nag-aalaga ka ng bata tapos tatakbo ka pa. And it's not motivation at all. Like, most of the time, I'm
Yeah.
not motivated to do the thing that I'm supposed to be doing. But I think it's precisely that. In my head, I understand that this is not optional.
Yeah.
This is a part of who I am now. The discipline has to be there. Whether or not I like it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. And the counterpart is not more it's not more ideal. Like, like getting unfit, or for in my case when I was 9, it was being left at home when
Yeah.
everybody went out to go and join the race. And like everybody's coming home, they're so accomplished, and like what am I just at home like sleeping? And we had training every day after school. So it was like literally like my friends would be there. So I think it's the identity that was tied into it. It's like this is just what we do as part of my family. Um but yeah, I never enjoyed running. It was just like there.
So now would you say that you enjoy running?
But now I have chosen, I
Here
have
we go.
chosen to enjoy running. It's funny actually. Now I liken it to my faith, my Christian faith. I grew up as a Christian in my household. But when I was in high school, I had to decide to make it my own personal journey with God. Same thing with running. Like, it was something that we just did as a family together because everybody else did it. But when I got into the pandemic, I found my own why. And that why was really just like, it became the cornerstone for so many of my good habits. And it just allowed for my sleep to become better, my eating to become better. The people I surrounded myself with were even better because they were all like-minded and wanted to grow. So yeah, it was just a natural progression. But it was a long process, guys. It's not like people are like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna do a marathon like next year. I'm like, have you ever ran before? No. I'm like, okay, wait. I didn't wake up able to run a marathon. Like it's a whole process. So yeah, it took a lot of time for me to find the joy. But when I found the joy, look for it again.
Yeah.
So
And I think it's really that, no. Once you start, so I kind of have the same story with running. I really did start with triathlon also, but I did sprint triathlons when I was in my early 20s only because my friends were doing it. And then I got a swimming coach because I never had a swimming lesson in my entire life. So I would swim like a dog in any open water that you throw me into. I'd survive, didn't look good. So
yeah, yeah,
I was
yeah.
kind of like, I was hosting a travel show at that time. I was like, I need to look better on camera when they put me in the water because I currently look like I'm fending for my life, which was basically what was happening anyway. And it just so happened that the coach that my friends gave me, introduced me to, was a triathlon coach, an Ironman coach. Shout out to Coach Al Gonzalez, who was my triathlon coach. And out of the three sports, I hated running the most. Hated them all, but I hated running the
Hated them
most.
all.
Just kidding. I mean, I loved swimming the most. Running was not a strength of mine. So I would swim fast, I would bike fast. And by the time that I ran, all of my competitors,
Same.
yeah,
Yeah. Wala
they
na.
got there. Wala na.
Bus na.
Oo, ubus na
Yeah.
ako talaga. Hindi ko
Yeah.
it's like I couldn't figure it out. And up until the time that I started running by myself and choosing running, reading about running and doing all of these things, then I was like, I get it now.
Yeah, what was that moment for you? When was the I'm gonna do a marathon? Like
Oh, that was a joke, like with TBR. So let's talk about TBR because you were there.
yes,
You
cheering
saw
you.
yes, you were cheering all of us. It was amazing to see you. What was running in my head was like, that's Hannah. that was all that was happening. But so I gained weight after giving birth to two kids. Actually, I gained more weight on my second after my second pregnancy. So I gained weight during my pregnancy, pero mas tumaba pa ako after having the baby because I felt like I was having a really hard time adjusting to being a mom of two kids all of a sudden. When I gave birth to Aggie, my second, Eliam was just one. So I had two kids under two, basically. And it was really tough. So on my 31st birthday last year, I ran a 5K as kind of like a nod to, okay, let's restart
Yeah.
this new life of mine. Like I'm tired of blaming others, blaming myself, blaming my children, blaming my family. This is my decision. I have to take accountability for my life and for my body for this new season that God has given me. And all that I was doing was grumbling. So parang that running for me was just my end of grumbling.
Yeah. It
And
was your
then,
choice.
yeah, that
Yeah.
was my choice. I'm like, I'm done grumbling. This is a beautiful season. Why am I blaming anybody? Why am I not being grateful for it? So I ran a 5 kilometer. I died. I did it in Vermosa, all the hills there. And then I had friends from the gym who ran that same race. Tapos nagpost si TBR. And I jokingly tagged them as like, oh, after 5K, ano, 42 na tayo. As a joke. As a joke,
Oh my
okay? As a
gosh.
joke. And then, Coach Jamie, being the magical human being that she is, she DM'd me. And she was like, Joyce, are you serious about this? If you are, we'd love to support you. Come and join us for TBR.
Oh my gosh. Be careful what you wish for, guys.
Be careful what you joke about on social
Your
media.
joke is half meant.
Akala mo comment lang. So, I had to ask my husband, like, is it okay if I do this? Because I only started running May yon, diba? My first run was May. I didn't start running consistently until July. So June ako nag-comment na yon, and then I prayed about it. I talked to my husband kasi we had two small kids.
And it's
So
not easy.
yeah, it's not easy. Like I took it I respected the distance from the get-go. So if I were going to sign up for this, kinalculate ko para mga 7 months siya or 6 months from the time that if I signed up. And I felt like, okay, this is something that's very serious. It's going to take a lot of time from my family. I need my husband on board with this. So we prayed about it. Tapos he was like, yes, okay, let's do it. So he signed me up with a running coach and
And
everything.
he joined you in so many of your runs.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did. Tapos he fell in love with running also. Like he used to run before. He's a basketball player. He likes to play basketball, but never really long distance running. So first time niya, the longest run that he ever did before was like a 10K. And the first time niya mag 11K sa training
Grabe.
program namin. Yeah. So, well, tell me more about your own version of like falling in love with running, because you started choosing running and then you actually put together just one.
Yes. Yeah. So basically, I did the virtual run. Yeah. It was horrible. I finished it in 6 hours. And 2 months before the actual race, I gave up. I stopped training.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, no, why am I doing this? Like, nobody asked me to. Like, why am I putting myself through this? It's just too much. And then a few weeks before the race, my friend Abby, who encouraged me in the first place, she goes, Hannah, we already paid for it. Let's just do it.
Sayang
She was like, you know what? If all else fails, let's do 21K, have breakfast, and then do another 21K. We're still within the time. And, we were like, you know what? Whatever na. Let's just do it. Whatever na. Oh my gosh. So it was me, her boyfriend was on the bike, my driver was on his bike with all of our aid station stuff. And then we just went. We were like, okay, we have a route. We've planned the route and everything. We get there, the route is closed. So we just had to figure it out. We just had to cover 42 kilometers.
Oh my goodness.
Figuring out, oh, why don't we try this? Why don't we turn left here? Okay, why don't we turn around here? I swear. But once we started, we were like, you know what, we just have to keep on going. And thankfully, eventually, Coach Annie De Leon, who's my coach, who was my triathlon coach when I was 9, who also trained me for that marathon and this and my future marathons, she showed up and she was like, guys, let's do this. Let's finish this together. So she paced us towards the end.
Wow.
And then after, so it was really grueling.
At what point during the marathon were you like, why am I doing this? We all have
15K. It wasn't even halfway, guys. Like, this was the moment where I was like, you have to respect the marathon. Like, it is not an easy feat. No matter how strong you think you are physically, your mind is really gonna go insane if you don't train it beforehand. So that was really my slap in the face. That was my being thrown into the deep end of marathon running. And after that, I was like, okay, yeah, not my thing. I do not want to do that again. Like marathon done. But the next year, my mom had the chance to run the Boston Marathon, which, if you guys don't know, in the world there are six, now seven, world major marathons, which are kind of like the goals of every marathon runner. There's Boston, London, Berlin, um,
Tokyo.
Tokyo, Chicago, New York, and now Sydney. So my mom has done five. And then Boston was the last, which is the hardest one to get in because you have to qualify. You either have to qualify or you're given a slot by a brand or you do it for charity. So it's really hard to get in. So my mom was like, I'm never going to be able to get my sixth medal, which is so nice, by the way. It's like that. It's huge. Because to complete that is insane. So she was like, I'm never going to be able to get the chance. But Boston themselves like emailed her and they said, we see you have five already. You have one more. We're happy to give you a slot to join the lottery for it. And then she got the slot. And then when she got the slot, she was like, Hannah, why don't you do it with me? And I was like, wait, that would be kind of cool. So how did it go? And then from there, I asked Adidas, hey, do you guys want to bring me to Boston? Because they're one of the major sponsors. They gave me and my mom a slot.
Wow.
And that would mean I would run the Boston Marathon with my mom, completing her sixth world major.
That's
So
amazing.
I was like, this is my new why. Is I want to be able to run this with my mom. I want to be able to train properly this time around. And that's what I did. And in that process, I realized that you find joy in something if you really put your heart into it. And if you really give it the proper time of day and the dedication. And when the why is beyond you, it's not just me. It's also my mom needed that push because she hasn't ran a marathon in a long time. So we got to train together, we got to work up to it together. I got to work with a brand that I really loved being brought to Boston. And that's when I was like, wow, I love this. And everybody needs to have their version of a mom or their version of an Abby who says, hey, you want to run this with me? And that's why Just One was born, because Just One is the notion that all of our big things in life start with that small yes, that small decision, that small idea, dream. And I wanted to give my friends at first the avenue to be able to say yes to something alongside other people. So it was a run club. And then when we started doing the personal run club, uh, my followers would be like, "Oh, can we join?" And I was like, "Whoa, whoa, wait, this is a private thing. Like, I just did it with my friends." And then I realized, wait, why don't we like open it into something? So we did a collaboration with Rockwell Run Club, and then there were like 150 people who showed up with like 2 days notice.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, this can become something. So I got the idea to ask Run Rio, which Coach Rio is like uh, a big supporter also of my family, if they could organize the race with me. So we planned a fun run. 2,000 people came. So it was insane. But that's what happened. It was my experience that I really wanted to extend to others to enjoy, and the run club was born. And then it was too hard to contain, so we made it into a fun run for everyone to enjoy. And you were there.
Yes, we were
Yes.
there. We ran the 10K. And it was a lot of fun.
So there, that's where we are now, and I'm still shocked, honestly. Like it feels like it was only last year, but the community that has been built and the people that have said yes to something that I encourage them to do is now encouraging me to do even more. Um, which is why we're doing another fun run. It's literally called Just One Fun Run. It was supposed to be just one. Like I thought it was like, okay, I'm just gonna do one thing and then we're done.
Yeah.
But they were like, okay, what's the next run? And I was like, just two.
No, but I feel like it's so cool because it will forever be that, right? It will forever be the avenue for new runners
Yes.
to come and join. Like it's just one run, you know? you can just join me for this one. And then, if you don't like it, then okay, we can move on with the rest of your life. But it's such a good concept. And now you're actually partnering with the race organizers that gave me my first ever marathoner medal, the Bull Runner Marathon.
Yes, which is huge. Like, their nod of approval means so much to me. So, for those who don't know, the Bull Runner has been doing their dream marathon for 14 years. So, that's like a world of experience that I've never tasted. And Coach Jamie, Tita Jamie, um, saw what I did with Just One last year. And I actually asked her, can I have lunch with you or something? I just love to get some insight on how to facilitate a community like this because she does it so well. She encourages people to do their first marathons in the best way possible, guided, educated, but empowered, you know. So she was like, yeah, sure, let's have lunch. And I was like, great. So we're having lunch and I have my questions prepared. And then she goes, wait, Hannah, actually, I'd love to mentor you in this process. And I was like, wait, what? So basically, Just One is now part of the Bull Runner family. Yes,
Wow.
it's one of the two races that they're going to be organizing every year.
Amazing.
And the beautiful thing about that is it provides like the full roadmap for runners. Do your first 5K, 10K, 21K in just one, and you have more than enough time to train for your first marathon the next year.
Yeah.
Because Just One is July 6th, and then the Bull Runners Feb. So it's great because I think we have very similar values.
Yeah.
We value respecting the marathon, but also training properly for it and doing it in a community that's not judging you. That's all kind of starting.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And there's no discrimination for your pace or for your athletic background. So it was just such a natural partnership, I think. And just being there during TBR, seeing the experience, I was supposed to run it. I was supposed to run it, by the way. But technical issue was my virtual
Was
marathon was
counted, yeah.
considered a marathon in their rule book, which I didn't know. So, 2 weeks before, I just decided to cheer, which I'm actually happy that I did.
What does that
Because
like? Because all of those people are either first timers or second timers.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was so fun. Like, just experiencing the community where they're so vulnerable.
You saw me crying.
I saw so many things, like people crawling, people like crying, people like deciding to stop, pouring water over there. I mean, the whole thing. But I think it just reinforced that the decision to partner with TBR was the best decision because I saw like the same energy was there of the people that were in Just One as well. And it's just so nice to work with a brand that you believe in and a person that you believe in. I super believe in Tita Jamie, and we're very aligned in where we want to take the running community together.
Yeah. And I feel like it's such a beautiful cause because it's encouraging people to get out of their comfort zones and try something that really scares them. I mean, the 5K scared me. The first time that I did a 5K in a long time.
It seems so big, eh?
Yeah, it feels like something that was out of the ordinary. And it's just 5K to some people, right? But for me it was such a huge leap of faith to sign up for that and to actually run it on my birthday. And then when
That was your birthday?
yeah, on May 4. My first run
Oh my
that I did
gosh,
was
it's so cool.
yeah, on May 4 mismo. Cuz I saw it was exactly on my birthday. I was like, okay, I'm going to sign
That's
up for a
perfect.
5K.
That's
Yeah.
perfect.
And then when I signed up for the marathon, the 42-kilometer, I was like, there is no way that this is humanly
Like
possible.
how, right? The
How?
fathoming of it is
Yeah. But then I saw there I would explain it in such a way where it felt as if your heart and your mind was expanding physically because it felt like, okay, when I see 8 kilometers, when I saw 8 kilometers as my first long run after doing 5Ks and 6Ks, I was like, 8K? This is crazy. And then when I got to do the 8K, I was looking at the 11K and I was like, 11K, this is great. And then I did it. And then there came to a point where I was like, this is nice. And I feel like it's that is the thing that you're pulling people towards, which is this expansion of heart and mind to understand that you are capable of growing,
Yes.
of doing things that sounds crazy in your head, of achieving feats that you once thought were just unachievable
Yeah.
with an ample amount of time, just enough grit and the right kind of people around you.
It's doable.
It's doable.
It's possible.
Yeah.
I think that's the main thing, is something that looks impossible is actually possible if you really put in the effort for it.
Yeah.
And that was one of my mantras for my previous marathon. I can do hard things. I can do hard things, because doing a marathon, you have to be able to convince yourself that you can do hard things, because it's not actually, the marathon isn't as hard as the training.
Yeah.
Like the getting up in the morning, the being consistent, the sleeping well, the preparing for the marathon, that's a long time of constantly saying, this is not easy, but I'm going to do it. This is not easy, but so once you get to the marathon itself, it's like, I've done this many times before
Yeah.
in my head, you know? And for me, I think it's the concept that I forgot which verse it is, but the idea that God has placed eternity in our hearts. That that just puts me in awe, that like our potential is something that we actually have the opportunity to explore and expand, because that's how gracious God is to us. Like, he gave us the body that's capable of this, a mind that's malleable, like a spirit that can make bold dreams and decisions. And that's what makes me excited about doing things that are scary, is because it's like, wait a minute, it's scary and it seems impossible, but what if it isn't? What if I can? And then you build that, and then you do something you thought you couldn't do. You put that in your back pocket for your next big achievement. Like, that's for me what the marathon has been for me. Being able to wake up at 5 a.m., I can do that. Put it in my back pocket. You know, being able to like convince people that they can run with me even if they've never ran before. Okay, I did that. Put it in my back pocket. You know, I'll go home from this function because I have to wake up early tomorrow for my run. You know, I'll put that. All of these things build up that persona in you, that like, I can do hard things. And then I don't know, you'll surprise yourself. I surprised myself. Even in the process, people are like, how was your marathon? I'm like, I'm shocked too. Like, honestly, I'm shocked that, we got it done, but we got it done. So yeah, wow. It's been such a blessing, and it's really so much more than just a run for me. It's a spiritual, mental, physical
Definitely physical. Definitely that.
experience.
I remember my coach was telling me when during the last part kasi of marathon training, right? I did like a 21 and then a 27 and then a 32 and then a 25. And as in, it was every week. My short runs were 12K, 15K, and then you would do the really long runs on the weekends. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I can't, I'm taking care of two small kids. I'm doing all of these other things. And then you mean to tell me I need to wake up at 2 in the morning so that I can start running at 3 in the morning because I'm doing a random 27K on a very casual Saturday
Yeah.
and not getting a medal for it. And I remember he was telling me, marathon running is basically, the marathon is really during the training days, and then you just get your medal at the end of the finish line.
Yes.
But you've already ran the marathon because
Yes.
that is the marathon, as you were
Great
saying.
mantra. I'm just picking up my medal.
Yeah, I'm just picking up my medal for all of those months that I've been working hard. So you don't even have to think about the 42K on the day of, because you've done multiple 42Ks within your heart, within your soul, within your mind over the course of the months that you were training for that marathon. And that just put everything into perspective for me, because I was like, oh, nga no.
Yeah.
I put in the work, I respected the distance, and as you've mentioned, I put in all of these skill sets that I've built up over the course of these months, that I've practiced the discipline, not the motivation, the discipline
Yes.
of showing up every single time that I needed to show up. I have that in my back pocket. Now I'm just going to pick up my medal.
Love that.
And I was just like,
I love that. And that
right?
determination like really takes you to the finish line.
Hmm.
But like, no, I'm just let me get my medal,
Yeah.
please. Like, no question.
Yeah.
Like I deserve it because I've done the hard work. But I think that's super key. Is for everybody that wants to do a marathon one day, if you decide to do a marathon, you have to put in the hard work. There's no shortcutting a distance like this. It's a marathon for a reason, but I feel like now because of social media and like how vocal people are about the marathon training, it can seem like it's like an everyday thing.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's absolutely not. Don't do it. You will be hurt and it's going to be really hard.
But if you will decide, it will be life changing. 100%. But that's your decision. If you
Wag
say
niyo
yes,
kaming i-blame.
ikaw yan ah. You decided. So
Sabi kasi ni Hannah dun sa podcast, mag-marathon daw ako. Patay!
that's what happens when you just take clips. You have to listen to the whole
Yeah.
podcast.
Exactly. But I love this conversation. I feel like we can keep on going, but as a last question, I just want to ask you, what would be your advice to a lot of, I guess, the viewers and the listeners of the podcast who are on the fence about their general fitness and well-being journey? I love that you mentioned that running became so intertwined with your faith. It became a way for you to check in on your relationship with God. It became a way for you to check in on yourself. I guess the status of your well-being is just more visible when you are alone with your thoughts. So what would be your encouragement for the people who are kind of struggling to get there? They're struggling to get out of their comfort zone. They're struggling to try something new, but they know they want to.
Start. That's it. Like, and that's what just one is. The longer version is it begins with just one. But the key there is you have to begin. Starting is super scary. But like I said, and if you check your medal for the fun run last year, Zachariah 4:10. Do not despise the small beginnings, because the Lord loves to see the work begin. The small beginnings seem so small and so far away from where you want to be, but there's no that. No, there's no this without that. There's no accomplishment without the risk. So decide what your just one will be. And for me, it was just doing 10 minutes of workout in the pandemic. Even if I felt sluggish and the heaviest I've ever been, and looked in the mirror and I felt like I wasn't pretty because I was not the version of myself I wanted to be, I was like, you know what? Anybody can do 10 minutes of walking. So I will just do it. Eventually, that just 10 minutes became, I could do 30. I could do a run instead of a walk. So it's just allow yourself the fear at the beginning. Feel it. It's normal. It's going to be there. Don't wait until it's easy because it won't be,
Hmm.
But ride the wave of the first few decisions because after a while, like you said, the motivation may not always be there, but the discipline will be.
And the
You never
discipline only
know.
gets stronger when you
Only
keep
gets
doing it.
stronger,
Yeah.
especially if you do it with people who are bringing you forward.
Hmm.
So find a run club, sign up for the fun run.
When's the fun run happening? Tell us.
July 6th.
Okay.
And in Vermosa as well, where you love your hills.
Yes, I love the hills of Formosa. It's the best. And it's also actually a reunion run for all of the TBR alumni, right?
Yes, so you should come.
I got the
because-
email. I was like,
Yeah.
oh no, here's
Relive-
another one.
Relive the experience of running TBR with
What are
your
the
batchmates.
distances?
5, 10, and 21.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice. That's a nice set of
Nice
distance.
spread.
Yeah.
And honestly, like last year's experience, I don't know if you felt it, but the spirit was just like everyone was just happy to be there.
Yeah.
No pressure on how fast you were gonna go or like how many kilometers you ran. It's just being there and just being with a community that it's just there for the vibes, there for
Yeah.
the community, not to be intimidated, not to be stressed. It was such a great experience. So yeah, if you need any goal to push you forward, there's just a suggestion. You may start with it just one foot.
And you know what? You always become more consistent when you have an upcoming race.
Oh my gosh, 100%.
Because you're like, uh-oh.
Wait, I don't have one right now. I'm
Yeah.
kind of scared. Like,
Yeah, sign up for your own fun run. Do the 21.
oh
Come
my
on,
god.
Hannah.
Can you imagine? I'm like, I have my, ano, guys, is everything okay?
I'm in kilometer 11 now, almost
I'm
there.
like, oh no, somebody collapsed. What am I going to do?
What better way to make sure that everybody's doing well, if not for being in the
I
crowd?
will train with them for the run. And then in the run itself, I will be in charge of making sure you get to the finish line safely and happily.
That's right. Hannah, you've been an inspiration to a lot of people, including to me.
Thank
I
you.
watched your video on all of the books that you read. Your Tak Boston journey was so
Aw,
inspiring
thank
to me, and I'm
you.
sure to many others. And even now, with partnering with TBR and Just One, it's amazing to see. And I hope that more people will sign up for it.
Thanks so much for having me, Ate. This is
Yay.
amazing.
Awesome. Let's do this again soon.
And
here.
let's run soon.
Yes,
together.
we have to do that. All right, that's it for this episode of Adulting with Joyce Pring. All of the details on the Just One Fun Run will be put in the description box. We'll see you guys on the next one. That's it. Bye, everybody.
Bye.